Welcome to the Agent of Wealth podcast with Mark Bautis from Bautis Financial. In this podcast, Mark helps guide you towards financial freedom, ensure you never run out of money, and create a balance in life that prioritizes what is most important to you. Join us for this journey as Mark draws from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the multiple wealth building challenges involved in your financial life.
Welcome back to the Agent of Wealth podcast. This is your co-host, John Williams. Today, I'm joined by a very special guest, David Quick. David has recently published a book, Winning with Tech in the Age of AI, the Small Business Owner's Guide to Leveraging Technologies like AI to Grow Your Business and Make More Money. In this book, he shares his 25 years of experience in the IT profession and how he's helped businesses excel in the ever-changing landscape of technology. David is also is currently the founder and CEO of Total Cover IT, where he uses the same experience to help businesses use AI and other technologies to succeed. So David, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here, John.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this conversation. There's just so much talk about AI everywhere you look. It's a part of our lives. But there's also this struggle with not just AI and the marketplace, but just people. I think it's fair to say that most people feel that AI is here to stay. It's going to be a part of our future, but I think it's unclear as to how it's going to be a part of our future. Kind of exciting, but scary at the same time. So I'm really excited to kind of just dive in and get your perspective. But before we get started, I'd love it if you could just share a little bit about your journey over the last, sounds like 25 years. It sounds like you started in the world of business and kind of shifted. But I think our listeners would love to hear a little bit about your past and how you kind of landed where you are today.
Oh, sure. It's been a very winding road for me. I'm a recovering accountant, strangely enough. I started my life as an accountant before I even went into IT. My undergraduate degree is in accounting, and I got my master's degree in finance. So totally a non-technical background. And my first job was as a staff accountant at a local community bank here in New Jersey. And I did that for about 8 years. I may be dating myself, but they were still using 14-column paper, everything written down, very manual process. So even then, I was thinking about tech. Once I got understanding of their process, I started putting it into what was then Lotus 123 spreadsheets. This is before Excel became a thing. Made my job very efficient. Again, even then, I was thinking about tech. And I kind of liked it, and it was very interesting. Accounting, it's a great profession, but I found it kind of boring from my perspective. And eventually the bank was sold, and I decided to try getting a tech job. I got a job that was both accounting and tech at a small printing company, and did that for about a year. Got my feet wet in the tech field, and moved on to an accounting firm, Sobel & Company, a regional accounting firm in New Jersey, and did that for a year doing software consulting for accounting software systems, ERP systems. Did that for about a year, and in 2000, I got a job as IT director at RRBB, another regional accounting firm. That was my first foray into system administration at a very high level. And essentially, with help from my team, I rebuilt the entire network. And I could talk about that for the next hour or so. But long story short, we transformed their processes, and we connected the two offices and got them working as one team. We enabled remote access before it was a thing, and staff was working in the field very efficiently and be able to collaborate with the main office. It transformed the entire process of the firm. It was a great experience for me. Around 2008, I founded Total Cover IT. It was more of a side job for me at the time, while I was still working as IT director. It was the kind of a conflict for me to work full time and work at Total Cover, in that my time was divided, and it was very challenging to get the business going. And so finally, in early 2018, I decided to leave the firm. It was a great firm, and I could have worked there for the 10 or 20 years, but I just got caught with the entrepreneurial bug, and I just wanted to run with it. I've enjoyed it ever since.
It takes a lot of guts, to put yourself on that island and throw away the oars and there's no looking back. So congratulations on that. and thanks for sharing the journey there. I was laughing to myself as you were talking about Excel spreadsheets, and it's just any part of technology or any part of life you look back and you're like, wow, that was the cutting edge. What was the reaction when you started? Because obviously that system when you were talking about the columns and whatever it was you guys were doing on ledgers, did you come across as the snake oil salesman, kind of like where people kind of like, what is this guy down here is using Excel with these boxes and on the computer? What was that like a transition like? Was it tough convincing people that was the way to go?
Well, my boss was very old school, but it was interesting. Once I developed it and was working with it, he embraced it. He actually adopted my system and worked with it and used it. Even after I left, for the short time the firm was still in business, he was basically running things with my system that I had put in place. So I would say maybe a tad bit of resistance, but he embraced it as soon as he saw the efficiency.
It seems like that's important, because it's really easy for those who are set in their ways and kind of maybe old school in the way their mindset is to see these new technologies like AI and resist them. So with that said, there's a lot that needs to be determined, as AI kind of fights its way to find its place in business and our lives in general. With that said, where do you see AI affecting small businesses like here in the early run, the onset? Where have you seen it really make the most impact?
Well, first off, AI is like any new technology. It's the new shiny object out there. Everybody sees it. Everybody wants it. Very often they don't know exactly what they want to do with it, but it's there. And businesses have to be careful because, like any technology, you don't know exactly how you're going to use it. Before you adopt any new technology, not just AI, but any new developing technology, you have to take a look at the business first. Understand your processes first, how your business runs. Your processes may not be optimal. And AI simply amplifies your process and makes it more efficient. So if it's a bad process, you bring AI in, it's going to massively amplify your inefficiency. So step one, understand your process, make sure your process is optimal, then look into AI solutions potentially that could benefit your company. And one process at a time. Don't just do everything at once.
A lot is yet to be determined as AI fights its kind of find its place in business and in our lives in general. So with that said, where do you see AI affecting small businesses, in the early onset?
Well, I've seen a lot of application in marketing, social media. Businesses are using AI to amplify themselves in social media with more social posts, blogs, etc. You got to be careful with that because you can't simply ask AI to spit out something without giving it input. Because if you do that, it's going to give you something that may not be relevant to your business. So the key thing here is you have to give AI relevant content, like say, look at your company's website, look at the description of your company, the services it offers, any blogs that are written there, everything that may be relevant to your company. And once you do that, then you can start asking it to generate some content. And that's the best way to do it because if you don't, again, it's not going to be relevant and it's not going to be helpful to you. The second key thing here is that you shouldn't just accept what is being spit out by AI because AI makes mistakes. It's a program, so there could be mistakes here and there. So you got to review it before it goes out. That's a key thing here about AI. You have to always have that human element at the end. And going forward, in general, for businesses, you got to be very careful when you're evaluating AI because, again, what all AI does is amplify your processes. You have to make sure that you adjust your processes so that it's efficient for you. When people think about AI, it's just going to do everything for you. No, AI is a tool. It's not the main event.
It makes sense. And that's kind of been my experience with it in the ways that I've used it. And the idea that it's, I'd say like 95% right, and super helpful, but you have to just be aware of like not putting that 5% out there. And it might not even be wrong. It just might be something that you just don't want to include, right? Like it can be very thorough in my experience too. You said something interesting about processes, and obviously you being the expert in tech, it's probably difficult for you to understand whether or not, and really as a small business owner, you might think your processes are actually pretty strong. Do you find when you come into these engagements and working with businesses that is there something or somewhere you refer to them, or are you helping them with the processes, or just what does that all look like to make sure that you're not throwing fire on a flame that you don't necessarily want burning any bigger?
Well, one of the first things we do when we start an engagement is to understand the business. Though we're a tech company, the first thing I want to do is understand the business and know about how your workflows work and just basically understand the whole flow of how you make money. So we're not even getting into the tech part yet, because the key thing here is that the tech serves the business. The business doesn't serve the tech. You use tech to help your business to be more efficient and grow. So first, we understand the business, understand the processes, and what data flows in the business are supporting those processes, and then the technology that underpins those data flows.
So the idea of like your business experience and this experience in tech kind of coming together and your experience in accounting, has your business swayed towards that niche or industry? And just because you have this great and obviously great experience and knowledge in the accounting world?
Well, I would say that although we're not exclusively focused on accounting firms, it has become a core focus of me because of my experience. I worked 17 years at RBB as their IT director, so I sat through 17 years of tax seasons and all the other busy times at the firm, understanding all the workflows, the software they use, all things about the firm. I have that so much ingrained in me, which is why I very much focus on and enjoy working with accounting firms.
Yeah, that makes sense. As this evolves and as you continue to work with businesses and trying to help them through this, is there a place you see this going? And, is there some opportunities or things that you see on the horizon as, just because so far let's say we have the business needs to be efficient, and then, we can use the AI to now get integrated into those processes to be even more efficient. Is there a place you see this going where it's going to get even more involved? And with that said, is there anything you think the businesses can do to just kind of be ready for these shifts and changes?
It comes back to understanding themselves, how they make money, and what their processes look like. Everything is be framed in that, regardless of whatever technology is out there, technology evolves, it's constantly changing. And again, the AI is the main thing right now, and who knows where that's going to go. It's a matter of keeping a level head about your business and knowing where you are as a business and know where you want to be as a business, a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, and what technologies could support your growth in that area. It could be AI, it could be something else, you don't know. And you have to make sure that you're protecting your assets as well. Cybersecurity is not going to go away anytime soon. Threat actors are becoming far more efficient. They're making use of AI as well. It's like any technology, it can be used for good or bad.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is even in our own business in the world of wealth management, there's a lot of companies that have embraced AI and kind of used it to supercharge their technology. And then they come to us and say, hey, look, this is how we can help you through AI. Like, for instance, one of the main ways we use AI is recording and record keeping of meetings, which I just never imagined how much of a game changer that would be for me, because it's one of the things I just don't like doing. And it takes the meeting notes and it pulls everything together. And it really resonated with me when you were talking about that, because we've embedded that now in our process. So like, we have the meeting, everything more or less gets sent to this AI portal tasks. It's really wild how accurate it is. It's going to be interesting at the very least to see what it's all going to look like, because just like any technology is the acceleration of how this is going to change things. And there's really smart people out there trying to harness this energy of AI. Personally, I don't think it's quite there yet. I think we don't have any idea what this thing's going to look like and the impact it's going to have on us. Are there common pitfalls, or not even just with AI, but with technology, that you see small businesses making in general?
The biggest pitfall is, as I mentioned before, you falling for the shiny new object syndrome. Regardless of whether it's AI or something else, you see a great new technology. It's been brought out by a new startup company, looks great. Decide, hey, maybe I should talk to them. And you get this very excited, yet somewhat aggressive salesperson selling you on the new technology, and just say, hey, I'm just going to try it. Looks great. It looks like it's going to give me great results, without giving any thought to maybe that it wasn't proven in the market yet, and there might still be bugs in it. It may still be in a somewhat beta stage and not ready for prime time, and you end up with a disastrous result.
Yeah, there's a fine line between that. Like you want to be an early adapter, but you don't necessarily want to jump in too quickly.
Yeah, you feel you got to get into it just to get ahead of your competitors. It's kind of keep up with the Joneses kind of thing. You're excited about it, but you're not giving any thought to what it could do for you, and even whether it's even relevant or even improving. And I've seen disastrous results from companies that have jumped in too early on these new technologies. You don't have to be one of the first people to grab it. In fact, I would strongly urge you not to be. Let others take the fall, not you. You can learn from their mistakes. And don't be intimidated by overly aggressive and persuasive salespeople. Keep a level head about your business and what you need. Your needs drive what you buy, not the other way around.
Yeah, it is tempting. And it's funny. This kind of reminds me. It's kind of off topic, but it's the same thing. My sons love. Who doesn't love Mr. Beast? I mean, if anyone knows who he is, he's a massive YouTuber, right? But the idea there is like he was one of the first people putting it out there. So that idea of FOMO and like saying, hey, we really have to jump on this. So I can definitely feel what you're saying there is like that's the temptation is to like, harness this and really, because there's a level of stress for me because I look at this and we're in the world of advice and how is this going to change and not wanting to get left behind, but finding that balance of that dichotomy of like not getting in too early, but making sure that it fits your business. At the same time, I can imagine there's a lot to be considered there for sure. One of the other parts of our business that we take very, very seriously is the idea of cyber threats. And I want to talk a little bit about your experience or how you think AI will. You already mentioned that it's obviously going to be a big part of how this world of phishing scams and other technology related scams are going to potentially get accelerated or just changed in some way. What have you seen and how do you see AI being a part of this ever growing threat?
Well, as I mentioned, any new technology, not just AI, can be used for both good and bad purposes. It's an arms race now between the security professionals and the threat actors, getting better and better at their craft to work against each other. the security professionals, certainly, they're working to make sure businesses are protected using other technologies. The threat actors are doing the same on their side, and they're using it for things like making it easier to write scripts. It seems as though any individual that wants to be a hacker now, their lives are much easier because of AI, because they can use AI to generate scripting and phishing more efficient. I mean, it used to be that you can generally tell what a phishing email looks like versus one that is genuine. That's becoming harder and harder to do as a result of AI because they could practically mimic the legitimate emails almost. And it's making the life of the hackers much easier because now they can target not just focusing on larger businesses, but now they can focus on small businesses as well at a larger scale. I mean, you would think that the hackers would focus on larger businesses only because there's a much more at stake and they may get more payouts. But small businesses are a target too, and they're more so now because of AI. I mean, some portion of those businesses are going to get compromised, and that's the way they play their game. So it's a jungle. But the good news is that it is helping the security professionals as well, because when security professionals are monitoring a network, a large number of logs are generated because the hackers can get in anywhere. They can make very subtle changes at the very start of a compromise to get their foot in the door of a network. So monitoring systems that are in place to look to watch for these types of alterations as a signal to say, hey, this system's been compromised.
Yeah.
Now, enormous amounts of information is generated from that, and security professionals have to parse through all of that. And it can be very efficient, especially now that there's a shortage of security professionals. And it can be very, very time-consuming and expensive for them to review all these logs. That's where AI comes to the rescue here, because AI can parse through all those logs and finds the ones that are relevant and present those to the security professionals for review. So it makes their jobs much easier, more efficient. So there is hope. It's not all bad. The good guys just have to keep up with the bad guys.
Yeah, no, it's not always easy, I'm sure. It sounds like very similar to how it's always been finding those good professionals that can kind of help people with these cybersecurity threats. And is that something you do in your engagements and something you help businesses with?
Yeah, what we do is it's not just all one thing. It's a multi-layered approach. So certainly we're going to have security tools in place, and that's more obvious and apparent. Also having active monitoring so that we have people at the other end watching the logs that are generated to look for signs of intrusion. Not only that, just a security awareness. Training for phishing, certainly there's that as well, but having a plan in place, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. That's the big shift you have to make as a business. That is not the castle and moat approach, because hackers are going to get around the walls and get inside your network. If you haven't protected the inside, it's open game now. So you have to protect your net business at all levels. The key part of that is security awareness, but also knowing what you're going to do when a compromise happens. A compromise doesn't necessarily mean that there's a breach. There's a difference between a security incident where the hackers got into your network and maybe they compromised one system and getting to the whole network. So your goal is to make sure that they get as little as possible when they get in. If you don't, and the compromise happens, all hell's going to break loose. It's going to be a panic. Everybody's going to run around with chickens without heads, and you're going to have a very bad result. You need to have a plan in place. It's called an incident response plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. Scary stuff. So that's all I had for you today. We're super excited that you were able to join us. This was a great conversation. Can't thank you enough for joining me for this episode of the Agent of Wealth podcast. But before we go, I'd love for you to share where listeners might be able to learn more about you, get a copy of your book, get in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. Well, to get more information about our company, our main website is totalcoverit.com. So that's totalcoverit, as in information technology.com. To get a copy of my book, it's very easy. You go to my main website, totalcoverit.com/winningwithtech. So it's totalcoverit.com/winningwithtech. And if you want to chat with me, you can go to totalcoverit.com/meet David Quick.
Excellent. We'll be sure to include all of that in the resources section of the show notes for sure. Thanks for sharing, David. Thanks again. Thanks to everyone who tuned into today's episode.
Don't forget to follow the Agent of Wealth on the platform you listen from and leave us a review of the show. We're currently accepting new clients, and if you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation with our advisors, please do so at bautisfinancial.com/call.
Thank you for listening to the Agent of Wealth podcast. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered represents the views and opinions of the guests and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Bautis Financial. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended to be a substitute for professional financial planning and investment advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investments and financial planning.